what I wanted to ask is, because over the last couple of years, I know that you've been going through, you've been going through it in terms of changing career, learning a new skill, then having to prove yourself in the interview process. I want you to talk to us a little bit about your experience in the whole interviewing over Zoom for 2 years.
In a foreign country too.
In a foreign country, rejection after rejection, because everyone knows my story. Before I started working on my speech, I was just trying to get job to job. I wasn't successful, so I thought, forget it. I'm creating my own business. But you've actually stuck to it, and you set out at the beginning of COVID, you set out to change career, and you've actually reached the point now. So talk to me about that process, the 2 years and the interview process.
Yeah, so before my career now, I'm a developer. So I work for a company in Sweden full time, and I've been working there now for 2 months. So before that, I was an engineer on the railway. I hated it, terrible job. I did it because I didn't have to speak, I thought. That's why I applied for the role. And I was there for like 7 years. Eventually, I got to a position where I had to start speaking and leading. And that environment was not kind to people who stutter. So it was just hell. So when COVID hit, I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna take some time off. So I took some time off. Then at the same time, I met someone online, and this person lived in Sweden. So I quit my job, I quit everything, and I just decided I'm leaving England and I'm going to Sweden. And I've been there ever since. Now, being there, I couldn't transition into the same career because I had to speak Swedish to do the same job in Sweden. And I didn't want to. I was totally done with it. So to cut a long story short, I decided to learn to code. And after a year of teaching myself, I had to start this process of interviewing. And it was hell to begin with. Why though? Because I wasn't speaking a lot.
Okay.
It's COVID. I'm not around anyone. I'm around my partner, and that's about it. But I'm not speaking to new people every day. So the first few interviews, I was just struggling. And the only thing that kept me going was I've invested a year of learning how to code. So forget stuttering. I have to get a job. I need the money, bro. The money, the savings are about to run out. And I think it's the intrinsic motivation of doing something because you have to do it is what will overcome any struggle you might have that could hold you back. Because it's either I do it or I die. So that was super motivating. I just had to interview. I didn't have a choice, or else I would have to return to England with no money and be poor. You know, that was the reality. So that was the truth. That was the factor that made me push through the hard days of struggling in certain interviews, because I didn't have a plan B. But over time, I just got better because I was just exposing myself to speaking on Zoom to these people, interview after interview. Just the sheer practice is enough. And having a practice in a real life situation that matters, not doing something fake, like you go and talk to someone you don't really need to talk to practice. I'm actually having a live match. I'm experiencing a live game in the game, and what I'm learning and experiencing is tangible, is real, and it adds to my lack of a better word, I don't know. It adds to my skills, I
think skills.
Yeah, to just communicate in general.
Arsenal, yeah. You know, when you say over a period of time you improved and you got better and better, how long was that period of time? Can you give us a number of interviews where you think, okay, by the 10th interview, I got on the Zoom with a bit more confidence?
The first interview I had went really well, actually, in general.
Okay.
But maybe that was a fluke. The second, third, fourth, fifth, that was terrible. I was blocking, stuttering all over the place, and I didn't even understand why. But it didn't matter because I had no plan B. So I just kept going. And then I started to see certain things in myself again. Oh, I remember, I should maybe breathe a bit more, slow down, maybe disclose a bit slower, like actually
Just a question.
tell my story.
But was it terrible because of your stuttering, or was it terrible because of the outcome? Like,
It was my ability to speak in the first period of my interview processes wasn't great because I was out of practice. I had the fear of stuttering. The first stuttering was so high because I didn't have to practice.
so the fear was terrible as
The
opposed
fear.
to the actual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that made the speech really hard and I couldn't really get my words out. But after the shared practicing, just going no matter what, no matter how bad it was, no matter what, how many times I was rejected, I got better because I stayed in the game.
Then the fear dropped.
The fear dropped.
As you went on.
Yeah, because and I'm also seeing feedback from them, like they actually see the value I can bring to their business because I put in the work. They can see the value. They wasn't really focused on the stuttering, so it's all about the value I was bringing and the confidence I had in myself. I wasn't using the stuttering as a crutch, like, I have a stutter, accept me. I was like, I have the skills first. I led with the skills of what I can do for them, and that's what made them like me. And I have a star. They're like, oh, you have a star and you're still going for it? That's just a bonus.
Yeah.
But it's not the focus.
You know, as your skills progressed and you felt more and more confident as a coder, was that helping you with your speech in these interviews later on?
100%. It's the confidence for me within myself that helped me the most. The confidence and just the practice of I'm going to keep going no matter what. It's once you have full confidence in your ability, it's not going to matter if you start or not. And people will see that.
Yeah.
It's like there are CEOs who run companies. And I'm sure they're super confident in their ability to run their company and no one cares about their stuttering. I'm sure they don't care either because they know without them, the company will go under. So,
This is a great example for like people applying for like jobs. This a story, because it does show like that fear at the beginning, change of emotions through practice, and then all that stuff. So very, very cool, man.
Yeah, and also for me, what it shows is that when you get rejected in a job interview, we instantly say, it's because I got a star. It's because I wasn't able to speak. But I think what you've proven is it wasn't because of your speech. It might be it was too early for you to get a job at that level. It might be you weren't quite prepared. It might be you come up against someone who was more advanced than you at the time. And preparation is everything when you're going for a job interview, right? So the more prepared you are, like you said, the more confident you are, the more confident you are in what you're talking about, you have more confidence to answer the questions, so you're not worried about what questions they can throw at you because you know, well, I'm probably going to have an answer for it anyway because I've experienced it, because I've worked on it. So for me, any advice that I would give to someone that is going for a job interview is not breathe, pause, disclose. Yeah, all right, those things help. But if you're not prepared for the interview and you're worried about the content of what you're actually going to say, then stuttering's irrelevant, really, because even someone who hasn't got a stutter, if they're not prepared, they will struggle throughout the interview process.
I noticed something in myself through this process. The more confident in my skills I was, the easier my speech was when talking about whatever I was trying to get over.
Do you know what it is? I think like when you're stuttering and going into like an interview, it's harder to bullshit.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So
Can't bullshit.
like you have to actually.
That's the truth.
You got to be qualified.
You got to be qualified.
What you can do. You know, and that's a confidence boost for you. When you start listing off what you can actually do, what you can bring. If you say, I can do this, I'm training this and this, then that's giving you a boost even if you don't realize it.